Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've got a really interesting tree for you today. I think that's becoming my new catchphrase actually, but this is a genuinely interesting one. It's a needle juniper or common juniper, Juniper communis, Juniperus communis or something like that. And for the last 3 to 4 years, I've just been watering, feeding this tree to try and get it into a healthy state, ready to start imposing some design onto it. It's quite an interesting twin trunk, but it's tall. It's way too tall. We've got some lovely, interesting, fairly mature trunks down at the base, and this came up as 2 separate trees that have grown intertwined together. My estimate would be at least 30 to 40 years these have been growing together. And today I need to make some decisions to reduce the height in order that it's going to look good as a bonsai in the future. So let's do some chopping. I spent quite a bit of time working out the front, but ultimately it's fairly obvious. This is the front here. It works really well with these 2 trunks coming up. And the first thing that stood out to me is this patch of foliage here to one side that, yeah, that's it there. I love that little branch coming out. It's quite a strong couple of branches, and it's kind of like the upper canopy of this right hand trunk. So I definitely want to maintain that as a major part of the design because it's just naturally there and looks great. However, that's not the top of the tree, that's the upper branch. The top of this tree I see much higher up here. So we've got a kind of natural leader. Where's that leader, Dad? There. We've got a natural leader that sort of comes out in this direction. So we'll cut the main trunk just above there. He's going with the secateurs, Peter Chan style. Off it comes. So it's a fair chop gone there. We've removed quite a chunk of foliage from the top. It's added some movement because we can see now this new leader comes across at an angle, which is nice, and it's just reduced that overall height really well. That's good, so I like that. Now obviously there's 2 trunks, well there's kind of 3 really. That was the right hand half of the twin trunk. If we go across to the thicker trunk here, the thicker trunk comes up, and again this needs reducing in height. And what we're going to do here is we're going to cut the top off, but possibly cut a little higher than maybe the finished design, because we can always come lower, you can't go higher. So see, this is like a natural place to cut in here. Let's have a look. We've got like a natural place to cut, but there we go.
You got it there.
Yeah, we've got it there, and if we take that off, bang, boom. Bang, I got my own catchphrase wrong. Too many catchphrases. So this left hand one we've just cut is now taller than the first one, which is good. As I say, we can always come down. We've cut to a new apex. This has got a nice apex, and this can be wired if necessary just to take it in an upward direction, but it already naturally does go upwards, and given time that will naturally just bend up in that direction anyway. So design wise, it's beginning to look pretty tasty to me. This is the back of the tree, and I want to talk about this. The reason I didn't select this is because of these roots. Now they're not awful, they're quite nice, but I prefer them in the back of the design than the front. And we've got this branch coming up here, and ideally I'd like more back budding on that. This one that my dad's wiggling there, that's the one. I would love some more back budding lower down. So we've already got some buds, you can see. I'm just coming in now just to show you the buds on it, like here for example. These would be great to cut back to, but I think that'll be in a much better position in 12 months time to reduce the height of that branch and even possibly wire it into a new position, or there's lots of possibilities for that branch. But because there's a fair bit of foliage on it at the top, I wouldn't want to cut that back now and sort of hold it back in any way. I just want that to grow healthily. So this design was really about those two big chops. What I do need to do now is decide, was that second chop on the major trunk high enough? So we're back round to the front. There, where your left hand is there, is that high enough? Was that too high, sorry, not was it high enough? It was certainly high enough. But would that tree there be better being shorter? Because at the moment, the problem is, it's very, very similar height to this right hand trunk. So if you go across with your hand from one to another, you know, there's very little difference there.
But if we came lower, it would be even closer. So if we came to a different height, we'd have
I'm
to
thinking
come
here,
right down
yeah,
here.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking in there. Because we've got quite a nice whirl of branches. We've got a very strong branch. If we just rotate it around, you can see that thick branch there. Ah, that's it. Where your right hand is there, I like that as an apex. That thick branch there. And it comes out in the opposite direction then of this branch over here that comes out to the right.
Just to give some controversy,
Yeah.
your apprentice thinks this is a good height with some of these cut off and left at that height, with this one a little bit lower. But you think that should be the high one maybe, and this one a bit lower. I suppose that's what it's all about, opinions.
That's the opinions now. I'm just trying to have a good look and say, where do we think we should cut this left hand branch? Because we either basically leave it where it is and say that this thick trunk comes up and comes up to the similar height of both trees, which I'm not keen on.
Cut it here. That would be the same height then.
That would be the same height. My temptation is to say cut the thicker trunk lower. In fact, yes, into that branch there. So it's a fairly major cut, but we're going to this as the new leader coming out. Even the one below it possibly, but I think that thicker branch, and what we'll be getting there is, like I say, we'll be getting the...
If you use this, you've got a nice pad here, haven't you?
Well, I like the idea of that pad.
Yeah.
You've just sold it, Dad. You've sold it with the word pad. Let's get rid of it. Are you going to use secateurs on that? They'll cut through, will they? Or should use the saw on that?
I'll try with the secateurs. Ready with the catchphrase?
Boom! There we go. There we go. So that's the top off that. And you can see there the new branch we've cut back to. Lovely. Lots of options there. We can put bits of wire on those if necessary, but overall, when I come back at distance, we can begin to see
I think you're right.
the shape now.
Yep.
To me, it's just more balanced. I'm liking it. I'm nice and happy with that cut, but having looked at it now, we need to use a saw to get a cleaner cut at an angle, and before we do that we may as well just take these thinner branches off, so we'll get rid of those first so that they're not in the way. Off they go, and now we can cut down at a nice angle like that, just using the little Japanese pull saw, just to create a nice clean cut in there. Now some people may say, why didn't I leave that as a stump and turn that into a deadwood feature, which could definitely have done. I could have left the top of the tree on there as deadwood, turned it into a kind of a gin at the top, and I think it would have looked good. However, for this tree, I think I'd rather allow that to roll over, to callus over, and the taper actually genuinely taper from the trunk into this new branch, because it's a fairly thick branch coming off at a really nice angle, and I'm happy for that to just kind of turn into the new apex of the tree like that. We might even apply some wire to that, but I don't think it needs wire. It's fine as it is. I like that change in angle, and with cut paste on it now, that'll heal over. It's going to probably take 3 or 4 years for that to heal, but it will heal, and when it's done, I think it'll just look a bit different. Everything doesn't have to be deadwood and, you know, gins, and I see this as a fairly kind of natural looking tree, so that's better. Get some cut paste on that. And I just wanted to explain why I didn't leave the top on for deadwood, because sometimes you got to mix it up. Just noticed we have got this kind of bendy, weak branch coming from the inside, and that may as well go as well. It's got no green on it really. It's just in the way. It's not coming from a great place. And as I say, I'm going for a natural apex to this tree, tapering up, so that's gone. It just cleans the lines up a bit. There's loads of options for creating deadwood features, because there's plenty of branching on this, and this branching will just develop and develop over the coming years. So yeah, good. We've decided to add some wire to the apex of this tree. We cleaned it up, obviously by using the saw, and now we put a piece of, I think that's 5mm wire going along that branch, with the idea that we just improve the angle upwards. So my dad's going to bend it a bit straighter now, and up she goes. That's it. That's it. That's all that's needed. Look how vertical that goes up now. I mean, this would naturally happen given time. They do naturally orientate themselves upwards, but sometimes nature can have a little helping hand. The other one, I don't want to bend. I'm happy for that to come off at more of an angle. But this one, especially with me, instead of going for the deadwood, going for that sort of healed over callus there, I do want that to be quite vertical, and that's going to have great taper there now in the upper canopy, which is the whole idea. So just one piece of wire there makes a real difference. And we're round at the back of the tree. Just rotate it a little further, Dad, so I can see through this gap, and you can see from here now it really goes up vertically, which is what we want. So just that use of that piece of wire. Yeah, carry on round with her. This is an example of what we use this thick wire for: structural improvement of the overall design of the tree. And that wire will probably need to stay on for, I suspect, a good couple of years, I would say. Maybe 18 months, and then it can come off, and Bob's your uncle.